I'm about that action. I ain't about all that talking. So, you know, I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. So when I say I'm gonna you up, I mean it. And if you don't think that I'm telling the truth, then show me.
What's good, fam? Welcome to Big Faces Worldwide, where we talking nothing but this boxing, man. Hey, man, listen. First off, I want to welcome everybody to the channel. And like I always say, if you're new here, I want you to be here. So think about hitting that subscribe button as we stay knee deep into this boxing conversation, man. We had a decent weekend full of fights. I just want to go over a little bit of, you know, what I learned about the sport of boxing, man. Emmanuel Navarrete, he's a top-ranked fighter, super bantamweight champion, WBO. He's a big dude, man. He's 5'7", a super bantamweight. But he's been on the road, man. He stopped, what's dude's name? Horta, I believe his name is, in the 4th round to continue his title reign that he won off of Isaac Dogboe, where he punished him in the first fight. They had a rematch and he punished him again. I guess they thought it was a fluke, but this guy Navarrete is on a roll, man. He's real violent, he's vicious, and I'm looking forward to him stepping up his competition, man. He's been real active also, man. So shouts out to him, man, for getting a successful defense of his WBO crown. Top rank, definitely got themselves a winner with Navarrete. Now I want to go over to the PBC card. Chris Eubanks Jr. He made his American debut. Now my take on Chris Eubanks is that, you know, he's a guy with a lot of confidence, man, a lot of swag. He really believes in his look at this dude. He really believes in his capabilities, man, his boxing skills, man. He, you know, in his mind, he's that dude. You know what I'm saying? He can't be messed with. You understand? And he was talking bad on Matt Korobov. He said, you know, he wanted to stop Matt Korobov. We all know Matt Korobov is a little older. You know, I believe he's 36, 37 years old, but he gave Jamal Charlo a really tough fight. You know what I'm saying? That kind of put him on the radar of boxing fans when he fought him last year, 2018 in December. But the fight with Korobov, you know, if you don't know, that fight ended, you know, basically 30 seconds into the 2nd round. Korobov, I think he either pulled a muscle in the shoulder or something happened. He had a shoulder injury and he could not continue, you know what I'm saying? So we only got one full round, you know what I mean? But let me tell you something. I learned something in that 1 round, man. That 1 round showed me that it may have been a long night for Chris Eubanks, man. I mean, Korobov caught him with, I can't even remember how many straight left hands. That left hand found a home early in that 1st round. You understand me? And it was, it definitely surprised Chris Eubanks. I could just tell by his body language and, you know, the way that, you know, at first he was trying to run up on Korobov. You know what I'm saying? You know, Chris Eubanks is like a, you know, he's pretty much an aggressive fighter. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to run up on Korobov, man, until that straight left started landing on his face. You know what I mean? Korobov won that 1st round very easily. I know it's only 1 round, you know what I'm saying? So we can't really judge, you know, what would have happened, you know what I'm saying, or how the fight would have played out. But just judging on that one round, man, it may have been a long night for Chris Eubanks, you know what I'm saying? But Korobov wasn't able to continue, and I believe Chris Eubanks got the WBA, what was it, the interim title, middleweight interim title. And, you know, I guess he's next in line for the WBA title shot, you know what I'm saying? But it's just, you know, Chris Eubanks is a good addition to the middleweight division over there with PBC, man. For a long time, you know, Jamal Charlo, he was looking like a man on an island all by himself, you know what I'm saying? But now it's starting to, you know, there's some sunshine is starting to break through the clouds a little bit over there, man. You got Jared Hurd, who says he's moving up to 160. You got Sergey Derevyanchenko over there. So you got a couple options for the WBC champion, Jermall Charlo. And I'm interested to see what road he takes, you know what I'm saying, what type of fight he goes into next, man. I really want to see him tested. I know Chris Eubank Jr. Was talking a lot of trash, you know, says he wants to fight Jermall Charlo. Charlo actually called out Demetrius Andre. Demetrius called him out back, you know what I'm saying? I would love to see that fight, you know what I mean? That fight got a lot of history between the Charlo brothers and Demetrius Andre. I would love to see those guys finally get in the ring and settle it once and for all. But yeah, man, you know, the PBC is finally got, you know, a couple guys over there for Jermall Charlo to mix it up with, and I think that's a very good thing. Jermall Charlo defended his WBC title against the awkward style of Dennis Hogan. Now, Dennis Hogan is a guy who, you know, is not really known over here in the States, but, you know, he became on fight fans' radar when he fought Jaime Munguia in Mexico. You know, Jaime Munguia is a Golden Boy fighter. Golden Boy, you know, they hyped this kid up. HBO put a lot of money into Jaime Munguia before going out of business. He had his own hour-long special, and you know, they really had high hopes for Jaime Munguia. He's now training with Eric Morales, which is a good look for him, man. People said he needed to polish up his skills a little bit, so he went and got the Hall of Famer Eric Morales to help him out. I like Jaime Munguia, man. He's a young kid. He got a lot of heart, but you know, I see a lot of holes in his game, man. He still got a lot to work on, especially as far as his defense. Well, anyway, he fought Dennis Hogan down in Mexico, and a lot of people think that Dennis Hogan won that fight. You know, a lot of people think he was robbed. I'm one of those guys. I think Dennis Hogan did enough to beat Jaime Munguia. You know what I'm saying? But they was in Mexico. Golden Boy have a lot invested in Jaime Munguia, and therefore, you know, Dennis Hogan didn't get the victory. But he earned a lot of fight fans' respect. You know what I'm saying? Once we seen him fight, the way he fought, the heart he showed in that fight, you know what I'm saying? He gained a lot of fans. You know what I'm saying? He became on a lot of our radars, man. So when, you know, we heard that he was fighting Jermall Charlo, I know to the casual boxing fan, you may think, yeah, he's fighting this bum, you know what I'm saying, this and that. But I was real interested to see how Jermall was going to handle Hogan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I knew that Jermall would probably get him out of there, but I wanted to see how he did it.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Jermall looked it, you know, he looked it powerful. You know, he looked it powerful. You know, he took a round or two to get his timing and to figure Hogan out, man. Like I said, he's a little awkward, man. But he dropped him, I believe, in the third round. Made him do a flip, sort of like that Tim Bradley flip when Manny Pacquiao, you know what I'm saying, caught him with a nice left hand. And their, I think it was their third fight, I believe. You know, that's when he did that flip, man. Well, you know, the next round, you know, you could just see how Jermall Charlo was touching Hogan more and more, touching him more and more as the rounds went on. During each round, starting to break him down. You could see Hogan's body language start to change, like, God damn, this dude hits hard, you know what I mean? And he finally caught Hogan, I believe it was the fourth round, with a nice, it was like an uppercut hook type of punch, where it finally put Hogan down and put him out. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations to Jermall Charlo. He defends his WBC crown, man. makes a statement as he always does, you know, with the knockout. The last 2 fights, he didn't get a knockout with Brandon Adams, the contender winner, but he got the victory. And the fight before that, Matt Korboff, you know what I'm saying? So he starts his knockout streak again, and we'll see how long it lasts. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what's next for Jamal Charlo. Now, the card that everybody was talking about, man, and everybody wanted to see was the DAZN, the Matchroom card over there in Saudi Arabia, man. Eddie Hearn did his thing. Eddie Hearn put on a beautiful show. The Saudis laid the red carpet out for Matchroom and DAZN, and I was impressed with the card, man. They had, you know, they featured mostly heavyweights, you know, but there was a kid on there, man. I believe he was I think he was a 122 pounder, trained by David Caldwell. I cannot think of his name right now, man, but he was a tall kid. I think he's like 5'7", 5'8". You know, it kind of reminds you of Luke Campbell. I cannot think of his name, but when I edit this video, I will flash it on the screen. But that kid is something. That kid is something special, man. He was in the 4-rounder against a tough African guy, man, and he beat him up. You know what I'm saying? He beat him up, battered and bruised him, which forced the referee to stop the fight in the 3rd round. Now, do I think he probably could have continued? Yes, but he was getting battered and bruised, man. And damn, I can't think of his name. I'm really upset about that, man. But I like this kid, man. I think he has a bright future, man. I'm going to keep my eye on him. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to be something. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be something. And I was listening to Dave Caldwell talk at the end of when the fight was over, just talking about, you know, how he plans to move the kid slow. He's only 19 years old, and he wanted to take his time with him. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the best route, man, because a lot of fighters you see young, you know what I'm saying, they hot and knocking out people, doing this and that, man, and the people behind them, you know, get the tendency to want to rush them. You know what I mean? To want to fast track them. And I'm glad that Dave Caldwell, you know, is not going to do that with this young kid, because this young kid is going to be something, man. Remember me telling you this, man. I think the Eric Molina and Agrovic fight, Agrovic got hit. He got hit a lot with them bolo right hands by Eric Molina, but they were out of desperation. You know, them punches were out of desperation. Eric Molina, you know, I made it a point on my channel not to call fighters bums, so I'm not going to use that word, but I am highly disappointed in Molina. You know, he sort of does the same thing in every fight where, you know, when he starts getting beat up, he starts to turn his back and, you know, act like he's more hurt than he actually is. You know what I'm saying? Now he was taking a beating. You know what I'm saying? He was taking a beating, but could he continue? I think yes, he could have continued. But you know, he got stopped. I believe that was what, around 4 rounds. Also, Agrovic, I'm looking forward to seeing him step up in competition. Looking to see him fight someone who's going to fight him back, who's going to, you know, be there to win. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think Eric Molina was in there to win, man. But then you got Dillian White, man. Dillian White has been off, what, 6 months? He fought Oscar Rivas back in June, I believe, the middle of June, the end of June. He won that fight. He was dropped in that fight, and you know, afterwards he was suspended by the WBC as their interim champion. There was a big PED scandal, and he had that cloud hanging over his head. So, you know, they talked about him being depressed and, you know what I'm saying, just not being in the frame of mind for boxing. And, you know, he was reinstated. He was cleared of all misconduct, man. They say that, you know, the findings, the B sample was negative, man. You know what I'm saying? And he's cleared of all wrongdoing. And he is renamed the interim champion for the WBC. So we'll see what happens between him and Deontay Wilder. Dillian White, he went up against the old veteran Wack. I believe he's about Wack, however you want to say his name. He's about 40 years old. And a lot of people thought he was going to get Wack out of there. I wasn't one of those people, man. I remember him fighting Vladimir Klitschko, and I remember the beating that Klitschko was putting on him, man. And Wack showed a lot of toughness, man, and sticking around. So I did not think that Dillian White would get him out of there. Wack proved to be a tough opponent for Dillian White. Coming off of what he had 3-4 weeks preparation for this fight, and it showed. But Dillian White also showed that, he's a level above Wack. He was able to get the victory. And I think if Dillian White really takes his career seriously, if he really takes his training seriously, I believe Dillian White can be a real threat in the heavyweight division, man. In most of his fights, he seemed to tire out during the second half of the fight. Now, if he's able to correct his stamina issues, man, I think Dillian White can be a real problem for the heavyweight division, man. But that remains to be seen. We will see what happens for him next. I know he wants them big fights. I know he wants to fight Deontay Wilder, which I think is career suicide right now. I think just nobody's going to beat Deontay Wilder at this point. Not right now. He's just too confident, and he's just on, he's just on another level right now. You know what I mean? But the main event, man, I talked about it. After the fight, I talked about it during the build up to the fight. Anthony Joshua, he made the necessary adjustments that he needed to make, man. He brought the people into his camp that he needed to bring in. And the game plan that they came up with was beautiful, and he executed it beautifully. Andy Ruiz, he just ate his way out of a championship, man. He let a lot of his fans down. He let himself down. He let his team down. You could just see the air come out of Manny Robles, come out of his father. You know what I'm saying? They just were let down by this guy, Andy Ruiz, who they put so much time and effort in. And he didn't produce. He didn't put that same time and effort into himself, man. He talked about, just eating and even drinking Coronas, man. You know what I'm saying? During training camp. During the lead up to this fight, I made videos, man. I showed you guys this guy eating all the pizza and the bad things, pastas with, all this cheese and sauce that he had no business eating, man. And when he came in at 283.5 pounds, that really was confirmation that, he was going to get his ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? I had already picked Anthony Joshua to win. But when I seen the weight that he came in at, that just confirmed everything for me even more, man. Andy Ruiz has to go back to the drawing board. I never, Andy Ruiz was always a good fighter, but I had never considered Andy Ruiz an elite fighter. You know what I'm saying? And I've said this, plenty of times in my videos. You know what I'm saying? People wanted to crown Andy Ruiz king, put him in this top heavyweight bracket based off of one performance. You know what I'm saying? The fight with Joseph Parker, he was dominating the early rounds, but second half of that fight, he ran out of gas. You know what I mean? He ran out of gas and allowed Joseph Parker to get back in the fight, and take over the fight and eventually win the fight. A lot of people think Andy Ruiz should have got the nod. I'm not one of those people, man. I think Joseph Parker did enough in that second half of the fight to get that victory, man. Top Rank's knock on Andy Ruiz is that, he does not take his career seriously. You know what I'm saying? That if you give him too much time in between fights, he gets lazy, and he doesn't make that commitment that they were looking for. You know what I'm saying? And we seen it. We seen it in this fight here, man. He had 6 months since becoming world champion, and you know, his life changed overnight, and with that new life change came a lot of new responsibilities, a lot of new activities and habits, you know what I'm saying, that come along with all the fame and fortune, man. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for Andy Ruiz. Now, I'm taking nothing away from AJ. AJ did his thing, man. A lot of people, you know, made me disgust when they started talking about AJ was running. And AJ displayed the beautiful display of boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? The art of hit and not get hit, man. There were times when AJ wanted to get in there and bang. You can just tell his body language was you know what I'm saying, was like that, man. And he just came up short with a couple big right hands, man, that I think had they connected, it might have been lights out for Andy Ruiz. But AJ snapped out of it. He went back to his game plan and remained disciplined, and he was able to get the unanimous decision. Well deserved. He did his thing. I'm impatiently waiting to see what's next for AJ, man. I think, you know, him being able to change his style is going to be a problem for these heavyweights, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, before everybody called him robotic. You could throw that theory out the window. You know what I'm saying? He changed that. A fight with Deontay Wilder, I definitely would lean towards Deontay Wilder, but with this new wrinkle in Anthony Joshua's game, it makes it more interesting. If he's able to move like that and find a little bit more head movement and polish up that style a little bit more, man, it would make a fight with Deontay Wilder very interesting, man. Very interesting. You know, he says that, you know, he's willing to fight Deontay. He says that he wants that fight. He wants to fight Fury. You know what I'm saying? But we probably won't get that fight anytime soon, as the IBF and the WBO, I believe, they have both ordered that he fight is mandatory. I think the WBO went so far as to give him 180 days to negotiate with Alexander Usyk. And Pulev is the IBF mandatory. So hopefully, you know, he won't have to drop one of those belts. Hopefully Eddie Hearn is able to maneuver his way around that outcome. And you know, AJ keeps his title and, you know, will go on to fight the winner of Fury and Wilder, which I believe will be Deontay Wilder. A lot of people don't think, you know, AJ will step up to the plate. I'm hoping he will, but only time will tell, man. But listen, man, that's my recap, man. And what I learned from all this is that boxing is boxing, man. I love it. It's a beautiful sport, man. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. We got Terrence Crawford this weekend going up against Kavaliauskas. We got Teofimo going up against Richard Comey. We still got Charlo Harrison too. You know, so we're gonna end this year on a high note. We got Tank Davis and Gamboa, so we're gonna end this year on a high note, man. Hopefully we see some spectacular boxing to end off the year. But that's all I got, man. You can catch me on Instagram, Twitter, at Big Faces Worldwide, all one word. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I know this video was a little long, but I just wanted to talk a little bit of boxing, man. But in the meantime and in between time, stay blessed and keep on supporting this sport that we love called boxing. Peace. I'll back.